Plank. Presented by Jeep continues right now on ABC Action News Now.
Well, according to my watch, about 35 minutes from now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be teeing it up against the Atlanta Falcons at the Georgia Dome. And there are some players maybe that you might be thinking about. Who do I put in? Who do I put up? Who do I take down? I know Matt Mcguire's, he spends this whole time trying to figure this stuff out.
Maybe too much time and not enough sales calls.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll see about that.
Maybe.
But, you know, there was a lot of injuries last week, not just with the Bucks, but all across the NFL. And then if you do have, let's say, like a Mike Evans or a Vincent Jackson, do you start them since they really haven't been putting up any big numbers so far with the Bucks' struggling offense? Matt Mcguire has those answers.
Week in the NFL, there were crazy comebacks, big upsets, and major injuries. So let's start with some of those injuries. None bigger than Robert Griffin III from Washington Redskins. You hate to see him go down with an injury because he worked so hard to come back from the knee injury a few years ago, but he's got a dislocated ankle that will keep him out for about 4 to 6 weeks. Now, his backup, Kirk Cousins, has proved to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. In fact, he may even boost the value of some of the wide receivers and tight ends in Washington because he throws the ball downfield more than Robert Griffin did. The next big injury is Jamal Charles. Charles came into the season as a top 3 running back in fantasy football. Now, he's gone down with an ankle injury, and if you had Charles on your team or you just needed some help at running back, hopefully you were able to pick up Knile Davis. Davis has proved to be very effective. In the 3 games that Charles has missed the last 3 years, he's actually came in and scored 6 touchdowns. So you should feel pretty confident in him. The last one to point out is A.J. Green of the Bengals. A.J. is one of the best wide receivers in the game, and in Week 1 he proved why. 9 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. Now, A.J.'s got a toe injury, and it remains to be seen how long he's going to be out. He may even be able to play next week, but if he is limited to the injury or he misses the game, the Bengals are going to focus more on the running game like they did last week with Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill. Now let's talk about the Bucks. Wow, what a way to lose a game. The Bucks are now 0-2, and I'm starting to wonder where this offense is heading. Granted, our 2 losses are by a combined 8 points, but this is the NFL, and a loss is a loss. The Bucks offense is averaging just under 300 yards per game, which puts us at 5th worst in the NFL. Now, all of that can change tonight. The Falcons are coming in with 472 yards given up, and that puts them last in the NFL. Most of that's through the air. So will tonight actually be the night that we get some downfield passes? If we're going to do that, we've got to be better on first down. Last week in the game, we had 22 first down plays. 15 of those were rushes. Now, that's not surprising. I know Lovie Smith wants to establish the run, but what is surprising is just how ineffective they were. In those 15 runs, we only gained 23 yards. That's an average of 1.4 yards per carry. That's a lot of second and longs. If we're ever going to move the ball downfield, we need to be able to establish a little bit more yards on first down, keep the defenses honest. If we can do that tonight, look for Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson to get on track and hit some big plays downfield. Speaking of Vincent Jackson, he's somebody I want to highlight in this next segment called Buy Low, Sell High. I'm going to take a look at 3 guys who are off the slow starts, but I think will definitely be able to be productive as the year goes on. The people who are owning these players in your league might be a little weary of their slow starts, and you could work out a pretty good trade for them. So I mentioned first on that list is Vincent Jackson. Coming into this season, I had him as the 12th best wide receiver in fantasy football. After Week 2, he's 56th in scoring amongst wide receivers. That's quite a big gap. He's on pace for only about 700 yards this year, but when you look at the last 2 seasons in Tampa, he averaged almost 1,300 yards. I think as the season progresses, he'll get closer to the numbers that he's averaged the last 2 years. The next guy I want to talk about is Eddie Lacy. He got a concussion in Week 1, but he still played in Week 2. Now, he's yet to find the end zone, and the fear of another concussion might have the owners in your league a little worried about his productivity. He was the Rookie of the Year last year, and he got over 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. So far this year, he's only averaging about 40 yards a game, but I think those numbers are going to go up. The last guy I want to highlight is Jason Witten. Now, he's off to a slow start. 6 catches for 43 yards. And this is his 12th season, so some people in the league might think he's starting to decline. But he's still one of Tony Romo's favorite targets behind Des Bryant. And I think he still gets a lot of looks in the red zone. So even though he's only got 6 catches, the ball's been thrown his way 13 times so far this season. And I think as the season progresses, he'll get closer to the 850 yards and 8 touchdowns that he had last year. Be sure to visit abcactionnews.com/theplank to see the 3 guys that I've highlighted this week that you should sell high on. That's all I've got for this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Mcguire. And remember, #theplank on Twitter if you have any questions.
He has M&M's behind. He has M&M's in there.
There might have been Skittles.
Where's ours?
We
love
need some.
M&M's.
I love Skittles. I'm a Skittles guy.
Are you? I never had.
Just like Beast Mode and Marshawn Lynch, he loves the Skittles.
Does he?
Don't you see when he scores a touchdown, people throw the Skittles out on the end zone?
They did. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
So if they had the,
there's certain things. I got so much going on in this head that there's certain things that just kind of float away.
it's kind of like a gift or
Kind of
a power you just can't quite control.
I think it goes with
right?
age, but I want to talk to some younger guys. Leave me alone. All right, let's go to Joey and Andrew in Atlanta. Joey and Andrew, how you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, what's up?
We called him last week, and we'd like to thank you because both of our fantasy teams won.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
you know.
How did Andy Dalton do for you?
Good. He got me about like 14 points, I think.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Okay, so what do you want? You want to give us? We'll give you some more hot tips.
Do you need a quarterback start or a couple of receivers? Who do you have this week that you have questions on?
I have a question for wide receiver. And I have Nelson, Jackson, and Mike Wallace. I don't know who to start.
So your question, you cut out there for a second, but either Vincent Jackson or Mike Wallace?
Vincent Jackson, Mike Wallace, Jordy Nelson, and Demaryius Thomas.
Well, Jordy Nelson had a monster game last week. I mean, led all receivers in fantasy points.
Huge game.
Can he duplicate that in back-to-back weeks?
Well, if you're
Maybe.
First of all, I tell you what. Don't be mad at me and call in next week, and you can yell at me. But I would not discard Vincent Jackson in this game tonight. Okay? Atlanta's defense stinks. I think they can. I think Jackson has had a good game against them already. I think I would think about putting Jackson in, and if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it pretty quick, guys.
Okay.
Okay?
And then your question on Mike Wallace.
Would you only take one of those four, or how many of those four?
Two. I can only have two in my league.
Okay.
So you're saying Vincent Jackson.
I would take Jackson on a flyer. I think he's going to get you at least a touchdown, and I think he might go for pretty close to a hunch.
And Wallace is playing at home against Kansas City. I don't see Jordy Nelson putting up those numbers for a second week in a row. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say Mike Wallace, only because you're at home against Kansas City, who's had some issues on the defensive side of the ball, too.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, Jordy Nelson, I can't believe the numbers he put up last week, but just can't put that up again. Can he? I don't think so.
I don't know. Any other players?
My brother has a question, too.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Who's this? Is this Andrew or Joey?
Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
I have Bob Rainey on my team, and I'm not sure if I should keep him, but I'm going to keep him for a week or two because Doug Martin's injured.
Yeah,
but
keep
when
him. Keep him.
Should
Keep him. Ride him. Ride him. Take him.
So I think
Run him.
I think I get what he's getting
Yeah.
at here. Keep him or trade him because Bobby Rainey could put up all these numbers and his stock could go up, and then if Doug Martin gets back in the lineup, then he may receive the blunt of the carries. I wouldn't trade Bobby Rainey just yet. See what he does tonight against the Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, we've been talking about it all night. The defense isn't very good. The Bucs defense isn't very good either right now either, but they're injured. If Bobby Rainey puts up big numbers, maybe you might want to continue to hold on and ride this success as long as you can. But he would be a good guy, depending on who your other backup running backs are, to maybe put a trade in. But I think it's still early in the season. It is only week 3.
Yeah, I would stay with Rainey. Was that what you're looking at? Is trying to figure out whether or not you should hold on to Bobby or hold on Rainey, or should you try and trade him? Was that your real question there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. What John was saying, you may want to think about that. But tonight, if you want to go run over and make sure you activate Rainey, make sure that you got him in your lineup tonight. Okay. I like the guy. So I got Jackson and Rainey. So I hope you guys. Both. I hope both those players come through for you. I don't know if the Bucs are going to win, but I sure hope they come through for you.
So by your reasoning, TK, you think I should probably start Mike Evans tonight then?
I would too. I just don't like Atlanta's defense.
Yeah, I don't
but
either.
I do like their offense, and and the Buccaneers. I just think if there's going to be success, if Rennie does run, if Rennie has success, Vincent Jackson is going to have some big success.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change that here before kickoff here in about 28 minutes.
You're actually going to listen to me.
I mean, I don't always, but your argument here makes sense.
Well, sometimes I do. All right, folks, I do have my picks for this week. We picked 3 games, and here they are. The Buccaneers at Atlanta, I got to take the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree with all three of your picks here. I mean, this is just on paper, it's setting up to be a disaster for the Bucs. Hopefully, they can come out with a big road win here.
And then there's the Minnesota Vikings. They're taking on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans.
Vikings got.
I'd be nuts to take the Vikings.
Right, Vikings got rolled last week. Saints, tough loss in Cleveland. No way they lose this game.
Okay, and finally, the Raiders at the Patriots. I'm going way out on a limb on this one.
Yeah, way out
I think
on
the
the limb.
Patriots are like 14.5-point favorites.
That all?
That's all.
Wow, I'm
Yeah, so I'm going
surprised
to
it's
take
that
that.
number.
I'll take Tommy in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. Okay, how about the keys to the game tonight, too, folks, between the Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons? McCown does not make any bonehead mistakes. That should be 1, 2, and 3 in this one.
It should be. Too bad he's done that 2 weeks in a row.
And the Buccaneers defense does need to force at least one turnover tonight. And knowing now that Gerald McCoy is not going to play, which I assumed he wasn't going to, they need a big push up the middle. And I think we never talk about this because it's always offense, defense, but special teams. If they can get a big night, give one big play, maybe a punt return, maybe a kickoff return, maybe a block punt, block kick, anything that might be able to make a difference.
You're right. We haven't talked about special teams, but the one thing about special teams, it can change the momentum of any single game. All you need is that one play, and the entire game could change.
All right, well, we want to thank you for joining us here on the plank this evening as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just a few minutes away now, about 25 minutes away from teeing it up against the Atlanta Falcons at the Georgia Dome. For John Sabol, I'm Tom Korun. Thanks a lot for joining us again, and we will talk to you again next Thursday. At least John will. I'll be on vacation, but John will be here, so tune in next Thursday here on the plank. Good night, everybody.
See ya.